BnL 500 Part 2. Let's get going. Sonic OMT would lead for the first 54 laps of the race, surprisingly. Although, maybe actually not surprising given his standards so far, but anyway. While he's in the lead, Eugene Carbreski and Ken Schrader would expectedly wreck each other on lap 2, having started in the same row. And then 30 laps later, Casey Gears would join them in the garage after having an engine failure. Lightning McQueen would take the lead from Sonic OMT on lap 54, leading all the way into lap 99, where at the beginning of lap 100, Hollingus would take the lead and lead into lap 112, where Kevin Shiftwright would take the lead from him and lead until lap 143, where Lucas 95 would take the lead from him and lead all the way until lap 239 for nearly 100 laps. But during that time, Chick Hicks would eliminate a few cars, which included Johnny Blamer and Krusty Roeder, and Kurt Buschauer would attempt to wreck Sonic OMT on lap 227, but instead wrecked Chuck Armstrong. Lightning McQueen would finally take the lead from Lucas 95 on lap 239 and lead into lap 254, where Todd Marcus would wreck Michael Cartrip, Ryan Newcar, and Ricky Slood on that lap. And then he'd go on to lead one lap before Sonic EXE would wreck Todd Marcus at the beginning of the very next lap and then take the lead, leading for 30 laps before Hollingus would take back the lead, leading into lap 297, where Lightning McQueen would take the lead from him and lead into lap 234, where Lucas 95, his teammate, would take the lead, and lead all the way to lap 388, where he'd lose the lead to the other number 20 car, Tony Gasworth, who would lead into lap 410, where his former rival, Matt Karzith, would take the lead, and lead into lap 412, before Greg Candyman would take the lead from him and lead into lap 427, but during that time, Ernie Gearson would somehow flip himself on lap 415, now he's out. Lightning McQueen would take the lead on lap 427 and lead all the way to lap 453, where he would lose the lead at the beginning of lap 454 to Kurt Buschauer. But Lightning's teammate Sonic OMT would say this after Kurt Buschauer took the lead, and then he would attempt to wreck him, but then accidentally wrecked his other teammate, Ruby Nightcar. Ruby Nightcar was definitely offended by this, saying this, and crying while being towed to the garage. Sonic OMT, confused, would say this before getting bump drafted by Chick Hicks on the very same lap, which would put him and these 9 other cars, including Kurt Buschauer, down one lap. But the King would luckily take the lead on lap 455 and lead into lap 461, where Jeff Corvette would take the lead from him and lead into lap 464, where a lap before he lost the lead, Sonic OMT would get back on the lead lap, but Chick Hicks would take the lead on lap 464, leading to lap 468, where the King would take back the lead and lead all the way into lap 472, where I would take the lead from him and lead into lap 479, where Chick Hicks would bump me and then take the lead for all the way until the last lap. But then the King would take the lead on the high side and then go on to win the 2005 by and large 500, getting his 199th win. Chick Hicks would finish second this race. I'd finish third. Lightning McQueen fourth. Lucas 95 fifth. Sonic EXE 6th. Hollingus 7th. Greg Candyman 8th. Sonic OMT, after spending a few laps down, would finish 9th. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. rounds out the top 10. Bobby Carboni would be the last car to finish on the lead lap this race, finishing 25th. Now, here are the rest of the results of the race. Dale Earnhardt Jr. managed to beat Jeff Corvette to the top 10 again, and Tony Gasworth finished 12th. Winford Bradford Rutherford would finish 13th, Matt Garza 14th, and his teammate Greg People rounds out the top 15, one position ahead of his number. Kevin Carvick would be the race that finishes 16th this race, with Misty Motocross in 17th, Rusty Wheels in 18th, Claude Scruggs in 19th, and Kyle Buschauer rounding out the top 20. Carl Edwards would finish 21st this race, Casey Corner and Sterling Collins in 22nd and 23rd, Kevin Shiftwright would finished 24th, the second to last car on the lead lap, and Bobby Carboni rounds up the top 25, being the last racer to finish on the lead lap. 9 other cars finished behind Bobby Carboni, but not on the lead lap. Those being Brian Vickers, finishing a position short of his number, Sage Vanderspin in 27th, Dale Cart in 28th, Roy Clutchburn finished 29th for this race, and Elliot Draffler rounds out the top 30, with Jeff Burton right behind him in the same position as his number 31. Mark Cardinal finished 32nd this race, Ryan Streetnier finished 33rd in his first race this season, and Kurt Busch is the last racer to finish this race altogether, finishing 34th. I don't think he's going to be happy with Sonic OMT. Ruby Nightcar, despite failing to finish the race, still rounds out the top 35, above Ernie Gearson, Todd Marcus, Ricky Slodd, Ryan Newcar, and Michael Cartrick rounds out the top 40. Chuck Armstrong will finish right behind him in 41st. Johnny Blamer is still wrecking out. Billy Oil Jr. will finish 43rd this race. Jeremy Carfield in 44th, and Krusty Roeder in his second start of the season will round out the top 45. Above Jimmy McCarry, who did not live up to the hype of him starting so good, starting with Lucas 95 in row 4 today. Joe Brechik was also pretty disappointing this race, finishing 47th. And Casey Gears will finish 48th above the 2 rivals of Eugene Carbareski and Ken Schrader, who will take the last 2 spots once again. This is definitely an eventful race. Definitely not as eventful as other races this season, but the Vitaline 350 will be the next race of the 2005 Pissing Cup season, and the videos covering that race will be out soon enough.